So let's see here. Exploring Azeroth, Kalimdor is Blizzard's most recent lore book. Following Zakan, that's Zappy Boy, for anybody who doesn't know, the ambassador of the Horde, and Rexar, the famed hunter and hero. The book documents their journey as they travel around the continent of Kalimdor. The book has received a great deal of criticism, specifically for reinforcing negative, harmful, and racial stereotypes in its handling of the Horde races and characters, many of which are bi-POC coded. You take the racism stuff, like any political correctness stuff, off the table, the book sucked. Like, from everything that I read about it, it was inaccurate in over half a dozen ways, and it was just wrong. So, like, it doesn't matter, like, it's like it was basically, it was so bad that people were like, you know what, it's fucking racist too. The article itself, there was criticism for the article written on the Wowhead thing, and I'm gonna read some of this criticism first before I read the article, because I think that it's important to read the article knowing that these are the techniques that people like this use. The title suggests the post is responding on criticism, but the post doesn't say who is making the criticism. So I'm left to assume that the editorial and the opinions are the authors. It's confusing at best. Examples. One of the most common criticisms. By who? Another major criticism. By who? Many are upset. By who? This is a very common tactic used by people trying to write articles and trying to push agendas that are not shared by the majority of a population, is to put an agenda out there, say that a lot of people believe it, and then disable comments so no one can disagree with you. And I will also admit that the person writing this article has me blocked on Twitter. I'm pretty sure that she does. I'm pretty sure the reason is because it was somebody who criticized me, and then I responded to her, and then she blocked me. Anyway, we're going to go back and we're going to read the article, and we're going to talk a little bit about the situation in itself, right? Because I do think that there is a certain degree of credibility to this, but I think it's nuanced as well. The book has received a great deal of criticism, specifically for reinforcing negative, harmful, and racial stereotypes in its handling of the Horde races and characters. Now, I do think to a certain degree that is true. It's very obvious that the Tauren culture is based off of Native Americans, and it's very obvious that the Troll culture is based off of Caribbeans. I mean, I think we can all admit that, right? So who cares? I think that it is weird. Like, can we just be on the same page here? It is weird if you have a race that is depicted as a real-life culture, and then you have the problems and the stereotypes of that fantasy race mirror the stereotypes and the problems of the real-life culture that it's representing. You can take the racism stuff off the table. I think that it's lazy. It's like, wow, these guys are like, they're like Native Americans, and so they have all of the tropes that Native Americans have. Wow, that's super cool. Using examples from reality doesn't mean it's racist. No, you're right about that. You're definitely right. But, like, for example, okay, let's go ahead and let's look at, like, Nazis, right? I think we can use this as an example, because I think what's triggering people here is the fact that I'm using examples that are, like, non-white examples. And I think that there are a lot of, it's like the same thing, it's like, this dovetails into the Hassan thing, right? Is that I think there are a lot of white people that don't like being caricatured, rightfully so. Nobody should like being caricatured. So I think I can make it more personal for you guys, for you to kind of see where I'm coming from. So a good example of this is, like, let's say Blizzard adds a race of characters into the game, and they make the characters all kind of dress like Nazis, right? They all dress like Nazis. Maybe they all kind of similarly, like, look like Nazis. It's like a group in the Stormwind. It's like a Stormwind splinter group that comes off, and it's like the New Defiance Brotherhood. Yeah, I think, yeah, let's just use the New Defiance Brotherhood. And they're trying to make the master race of different characters, and they're, like, trying to kill certain other types of races. Something like that. Like, I think that we could all agree that that's like super on the nose. It's really weird, and no one wants that, right? Because there's just too many parallels. And I don't like that. So Garrosh, give me 1 second. I think to a certain degree it is. For Garlemald, well, I don't know what that is. I haven't gotten that far into the story. I don't think that, is there anything about Horde culture that's intrinsically similar to German culture, though? Because I don't think that there is. Brewfest? I mean, everybody has Brewfest. No, there's no parallel, exactly. So it's not the same thing. So like what you're comparing here is you're comparing an action with like a fantasy representation. So like you can have like a fantasy representation and you can have the action, but if you take the action and the fantasy representation and they're both coming from the same place in real life, it feels weird. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm following you. I still have allegories though. There's parallel starvation. Moving on, the orcs having to fight Azeroth as their home was dying. Cough cough. World War II Germany. Yeah, but like that happened independently of the Garrosh story arc completely. So it's not really the same thing. Let me ask you, like I would have a problem and I would dislike if Blizzard made like a new Defias Brotherhood, and the new Defias Brotherhood was of only humans, and they thought all of the other races were inferior, and they were trying to kill them, and they had different things in their culture inside of this like subset of humans that are this new Defias Brotherhood that mirror German culture and Nazi technology. I would dislike that. I think it's lazy. I think it's caricaturing, and it's weird. All I'm really trying to get at, that'd be pretty bad. Yeah. So stop saying German culture. Why? Yeah, why? It's not culture. German culture isn't Nazi culture. Exactly. And that's why tying the two of them together would be offensive. That's the whole point. Now that you guys are like, oh wow, that is kind of weird, recognize that that could happen for other people too. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm not even trying to say this person is right. This is a person that I think wrote a disingenuous article, has me blocked on Twitter for, I think, a stupid reason. I don't want to be on their side in a way, but I just want to talk about it honestly. I want to have everybody on the same page, and I want to have a genuine conversation about this, and not one where it's just super, super reactive, super reactionary, and there's no thought that goes into it. None of this other races have anything comparable to Nazism in their cultures. What are you talking about? You just completely missed. Back to square one. No, we're on square two with that one. Can we get a fuck Nazis in chat, please? Why? I mean, everybody knows Nazis are dumb. Like, there's no reason to like, it's dumb. Like, they lost the war. It is what it is. So, anyway, let's go back. We're going to talk about the rest of this. So you guys can see where people would be put off if there are races in the game that are caricatures of races in real life who also mirror the stereotypes of the races that they are caricaturing in real life. Because I think this is, yeah, I think this is fair. This is to some degree fair. Now, it depends on like what degree it's fair. And that's what we talk about, right? That's why we're having a conversation. But that's why I wanted to give the Nazi analogy, or like maybe I could do like a Donald Trump analogy too, because I feel like a lot of the people that push back on it are more like right-wing and conservative. So I could do another example, but I think you guys see what I'm saying, right? Like, do I have to keep drilling this down, or can we move on? Other than being too cruel and cruel killing methods, Nazis did nothing wrong. Yeah, other than being a murderer, a lot of people didn't do anything wrong, but they still go to jail because they're a murderer. And also, but yeah, besides killing people, murderers don't do anything wrong. Yeah, that's an oopsie. Yeah, it's an oopsie. You realize communists are responsible for COVID. So what we're talking about right now is World of Warcraft. I know Hassan's banned for a week, and I mean, you're probably banned in his chat, but you're gonna have to wait for him to come back, and then we can, you know, you'll be able to have that conversation with him. Yeah, who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? The racial and cultural things makes the game immersive. See, I disagree with that, and I want to kind of talk about, actually, that's a really good point. So I actually find that real life references and things that are parallels to real life, the closer, and this is a good point, right? It's a good counterpoint. I find that the closer that a parallel is to real life, the less immersed I feel in the story, because I feel like the story is just a vehicle to tell this person's interpretation of a real life event. Yeah, not only do I disagree, but I think it's the opposite. In its predecessor, Exploring Azeroth, the Eastern Kingdoms may have been one of Blizzard's more well-received lore books, authored by Christy Golden. The book follows the notes of Matthias Shaw and Flynn Fairwind as they travel through the Eastern Kingdoms. As the continent currently mostly under jurisdiction of the Alliance, the book is heavily focused on the Alliance kingdoms, history, races, and perspective, and even described it as a love letter to the Alliance. Unfortunately, Azeroth Kalimdor, which is authored by Sean Copeland, the principal historian of story and franchise development in Blizzard Entertainment, does not seem to treat Horde history and cultures with the same love and care. Zakan. One of the most common criticisms is the handling of the character Zakan, a popular but fairly new Horde character. Yes, this is, again, Zappy Boy. Battle for Azeroth cinematics, Shaman memified in the Shaman community, World of Warcraft community nicknamed him Zappy Boy. Later, Zakan starred as the opposite of Starfang in the cinematic Old Soldier, representing the young and idealistic members of the Horde who make up the Horde's future. Zakan went on to become an important main character in the Madeline Rue novel Shadows Rising, where he was made ambassador of the Horde and tasked with aiding Talanji against a rising threat against her rule, as well as convincing her to take her place on the Horde Council. Though young, Zakan has shown himself to be thoughtful, intelligent, honorable, and kind, traits that many feel are missing in his portrayal in Exploring Azeroth Kalimdor. Instead, he is presented as prejudiced, particularly against goblins, which he insults constantly throughout the book, judgmental and unschooled. So we're going to go ahead and read this. I'll need to have Regent Lord Theron define the word story when we return. Despite his tense and busy aura, I found the Blood Elf leader to be a kindly man with a gift for words. Most of my reading and writing be thanks to him. A footnote where Zakan mentions being taught how to read and write by Lord Theron suggests that he reached adulthood mostly illiterate. This makes little sense, as the ancient writing tablets show trolls have been literate for centuries. Little shows of the power of elements like Thousand Needles. The canyon was flooded by the shattering, yeah, but the twisting rock tower needles had been cut and sharpened over centuries by water. Erosion, Regent Lord Theron called it. To me, it was a reminder of all things we shape, time, nature, and both. You know what you could rename Zakan to? Simple Jack. This is the way it reads to me. Simple Jack. He sounds like an idiot. He talks like a moron. He has no fucking idea about erosion. Like, ignorant of the meaning of the word erosion. Which, like, Shaman should understand a great deal about the elements he works with. Like, it's just weird, man. Like, you want to bring in a new character that's liked by the community, and then you give him all these unnecessary things that demean his intelligence and make him stupid and racist against goblins. That's the chappy important anime protagonist, right? No issues? I feel like this isn't really an issue as much as it's... So here's really why I think it's an issue, okay? And this is why I don't really like the way that he's being portrayed, is that the way that he's being portrayed in these here is that Zakan talks about goblins. So let's go ahead. We're going to finish the rest of these, and then I want to talk about... I'm going to talk about the rest of the whole thing. It's been blown out of the waters too dramatically. It's not that bad. It's... No. This has nothing to do with racism. Like, there's no real life thing. There's nothing about real life in this. I just think it's a bad characterization of the character. Like, this isn't like, oh, wow, it's just like this race of people in real life. No, it's just bad. That's it. That's fucking it. It's just shit. Oh my god, it's a fantasy world? So write a better fantasy. Yes, write a better fantasy. Let's see here. We're going to read the rest of this. The mighty gates of Orgrimmar guard Valley of Strength, the heart of the capital. People of all kinds peddle their trades and wares here. Kept safe under the watchful eye of Grommash Holt. You got to watch yourself in the markets here, though. The goblin vendors will try to sell you any piece of junk they get their hands on. This time they tried to sell me water-damaged gnomish tools. At first I brushed them off, but then my curiosity got the better of me. I asked the goblin how he got them, and the merchant bragged up a cellar in Razor Hill. He didn't like that I wrote it down, though. I pointed to the flamethrower by his shredder. Rexar dragged me out before I could ask anything else. I think this is completely fine. I don't think that there's anything wrong with this statement. There's nothing that, yeah, this is totally fine. And it's also completely, because, like, as a member of the Horde, I think that, like, it is clearly dishonorable. Like, goblins are clearly dishonorable. Like, they're the worst ones, okay? Like, you've got the tier list, okay? Like, the Horde race tier list. You've got Tauren S tier, Orcs S tier, Trolls are, like, B tier, Forsaken or D tier. Oh, Blood Elves, they're not really Horde. It's just a reason to give Horde Elves. Who cares? But you can say Blood Elves are, like, C tier, B tier, somewhere around there. And then goblins are like F tier, right? They're a great narrative. I think goblins are great narrative. They're interesting. But in terms of, like, their honorableness, you don't even have enough enough letters in the alphabet to go down that low. Yeah, they're not honorable. They're pieces of shit. They should have, I mean, I guess they kind of should have been in the Horde. Yeah. They were in Warcraft 2 as sappers. Okay, sure. But I feel like goblins being assholes is that's part of the story. So I think this statement here in this part, I don't think this really matters. The reason why I don't like this one is because it just sounds it makes him sound stupid, and this one also just makes him sound stupid. As I said, it reads like the script from Simple Jack. I don't know. I feel like it could be much better. No one likes goblins. That's why we have goblins there. Yeah. That's the way I feel about it. Vulpera S+. And there can't be stupid characters. The reason why I think that this is a bad idea to make Zakan a stupid character is because he's already been established in the lore to not be a stupid character. He's been established in the lore to be a thoughtful, to be a intelligent member of the Horde. If you go back and you watch the old Soldier cinematic, so this one right here, whenever he's talking about, he's talking to Sarfang, like, this is not a moron. He's a shaman too, yeah, and shamans are, to some degree, chilled out because they're high all the time. So, it's very clear that... Let me... I'll pause the music real quick.
There is no honor in this.
I'll just play it.
They will come for us now. All of them!
My father, Hikazi, he fought with you in the Third War. He told me stories, how you could cut down 10 enemies with a single blow. This be my first battle. What should I do?
Don't die.
Yes, of course, but if I do fall, may it be with honor, in glorious command.
There will be no glory today.
This one was so good, man. That's his son in ICC, the fourth boss. Just remember when you're watching this cinematic, remember the Warcraft movie, and remember what we could have had.
You have earned your warrior's death, my son. Yet once again, I am denied it.
What are you doing?
Claiming what is mine.
So this is the character. The troll, this is the character.
Go back. I said go back! Live another day. Go back to your father.
I can't. He's dead. The Horde. It's all we have.
So, you know me. Is that it? What I've seen? What I've done? Oh, give up, boy.
Like you?
So he's clever, you know?
Live another day.
It was so good. This is so good.
Without armor?
See, this is World of Warcraft, right? This is great. Back whenever we thought BFA was going to be awesome, it was because of cinematics like this, man. And the caricaturing of Zappy Boy here is not a weird Dumbo, you know, I don't know what being a shaman is, you know. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on. Like, let's actually have a more interesting character than he just is. He's Dumbo Lamau. Yeah, Dumbo Lamau. None of the other races are represented as stupid, right? I think that other races are represented as stupid sometimes, but this seems to be more special. And let's go back. We're going to read the other one here. Hatred for night elves beholden in their hearts is easy to understand as their spite toward peace with the Horde. Justice has been denied to them, so they cannot heal. But what I never be understanding is why the night elves keep throwing away their precious few lives to fight into a fight neither Horde or Alliance want. I don't find this is really a problem either. I don't think this is bad. I think it's honestly good, and it's even in keeping with his personality from the old Soldier cinematic. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what he's saying there. I don't think it's coded. It's controversial. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I feel like it's the opposite even. I think this reinforces his character that's already been established. And I think the character that he has is great. I like this character. This is a great character. Okay, let's go back to the other ones. Gazlo and the Goblins. Another major criticism has been to the portrayal of the Goblins and their leader Gazlo. A race with their large hook noses and greed, Goblins can already been guilty of reinforcing some Nazi-era styled anti-Semitic stereotypes. What is this? Oh, right, yeah, people thought this about Harry Potter as well. Basically, like, a lot of the... And this is, like, really, as I said before, I said this a long time ago, is that goblins are clearly caricatures of, like, Jewish people, right? Like, it's... There are a lot of fucking similarities that they do. Like, there are. Like, they absolutely are. Like, you don't lose anything by admitting this. And it's always been like this. And it's like, at this point, like, is this a problem that needs to be changed? Because, like, goblins have so much of a history inside of the lore of being a video game race or, like, a fantasy race. Does it still correlate to, like, 1940s imagery of anti-Jews? I don't really think that it's that bad anymore, and I think most people don't see that correlation. But, like, everybody's seen that picture of, like, the Jew guy with this, right? The anti-Semitic picture like this, like, rubbing his hands together. That's very clearly something that you could easily see Blizzard doing as a goblin if it was 15 years ago, right? I mean, yeah, the merchant, whatever you want to call it. Good thing everything is racist now, it's tiring. Listen, I am the last person that ever says this kind of stuff, okay? If I'm saying it, maybe there's a reason. Like, I don't do a lot of these, like, these statements or anything like that. I don't get off on these soapboxes about racism and shit, but you can call a spade a spade. That's it. Let me read the rest of these. Another major criticism has been the portrayal of goblins and their leader Gazlo as erased. Hook noses and greed. Whilst necessarily doesn't make goblins in World of Warcraft inherently anti-Semitic, it doesn't mean their handling should be sensitive to the issue, which is why it's so concerning that Exploring Azeroth Kalimdor includes a mention of goblins poisoning the waters. Well, poisoning is well-known anti-Semitic stereotype. The only time I've ever heard of that before is Woody from Toy Story, of anybody poisoning any water hole. I've never heard of this before. Yeah, I think this is a really big stretch. I think that, like, this is what makes me so mad about this whole topic, is that I think the person writing this article is being incredibly fucking disingenuous. They're presenting themselves as an authority whenever they're not. I, in general, hate this article. I think it's a trash article in most ways, and these types of content should not be on Wowhead. But I also think that it's fucking obvious that there's this huge parallel between the Jewish stereotypes and the fucking goblins. Like, it's not one or the other. It's in the middle. And I'm so fucking annoyed that I can't have an honest conversation about this because people won't give any ground to just be reasonable with what's... It's 8 in the morning! And I'm mad! It's just, like, listen, like, just be normal. Fuck! Read this. Azeri stereotypes and thieves type. Like most Arabic people, they most of the time a thief. You've really been I'm banning you for that. You're getting banned. Like, you typed that like 5 times in a paragraph over and over and over, just for me to read your fucking stupid message. It's like you can't have a normal conversation about this because people are so fucking hyper-polarized and they can't think for themselves and they can't look at things critically. And so they just are like, oh, well, I guess now everything's racist. Or, well, I can't believe that they would do this. They should remove this entirely. Like, holy fuck, why is this happening? So sorry, you can't really talk about these things in LA because you'd be canceled? I'm talking about them right now. We're talking about them right now. I think the problem is not the goblins, but the old Germans used them as the Jewish stereotypes. It shouldn't be the same today. Yeah, it's just, I feel like there's just been so many people, like, usually I don't have this much pushback and this much stuff, but it seems really surprising to me. Isn't it a bit pretentious after you're the only smart one and everyone else only has these simplistic opinions? No. Most people, how many people are typing in chat? Like 1,000 people are typing in chat? There's 13,000 people watching the show at 8 in the morning on my second channel. There's 13,000 people watching. Most of you guys are on you're watching it on your television while you're brushing your teeth to go to work. You don't give a fuck about what's in it. You're not typing in chat. You're probably like, true. You know, that's it. So most of you guys aren't even typing in chat. You're in EU as well. Yeah, for sure. All I'm saying is that it's very clear that I feel people are being dishonest about the conversation. And I'm not saying everybody is being dishonest. There are plenty of people that, I think most people understand where I'm coming from. But there are enough people that don't, that it's frustrating to talk about. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that this person wrote the book with the intention of creating anti-Semitic, like, coded language against Jewish people through goblins. Like, I don't think that's what happened. I don't think so. So, whenever, to me, I care more about the intent of the action many times than even the action itself. Because if somebody does something that's not necessarily bad for a bad reason, I still think it's bad. I still do. Because I care about the purity of it. And what does this make me? This makes me an angry man on the internet. Okay? This makes me an angry man, the integrity of it. Yeah, it makes me an angry man on the internet. Now, with purity, it's not Cinderella. It is to me, okay? And this is how I see a lot of things as I look at, like, is this genuine or is this bullshit? Because here's the reason, okay? Is that I think we go through our whole fucking lives and we're spending all of this time consuming content and consuming media and consuming information without any sort of filter of if this information is bullshit or not. And even if it isn't bullshit, I want to know who's saying it and why are they saying it. Because if somebody is saying something for one reason, in my opinion, that means a whole lot something different than if they're saying it for something else. It matters to me, man. Because if you don't know why people are saying things, you don't know the intention behind their words, the next thing you know, it's kind of like they're walking, you know, they walk the sheep and the cow along. You know, they're just taking you for a walk. What's wrong with taking you for a walk? Or taking you for a walk. Taking you a walk. And then, oh, where are we going? Oh, you'll see when you get here. It's a surprise. Oh, I love surprises. That's great. Guess what the surprise is? It's a slaughterhouse. So they pat you along and they tell you that, you know, oh, we're telling you the right thing and we want you to think the right thing. And at the time that they are, you're right. But if you can't predict what somebody is trying to do with that information, you can't predict what their end goal is, you can get yourself taken advantage of. And that's why I care. That's why the intent matters so much to me. Let me finish the article and then we'll get into another argument, okay? Many are upset with the handling of character Gazlo, Trade Prince of the Goblins, the chief engineer contracted by Thrall to build Orgrimmar. Gazlo has had a long history of friendship with the Horde and is usually a well-respected and liked as a level-headed hard worker whose promotion to Trade Prince was well-deserved. Horde players remember Gazlo from the quest to unlock Mechagon. Gazlo's crew always gets paid, and the engineer that helped build the Horde garrison in Draenor. In Exploring Azeroth, Kalimdor, Gazlo is portrayed as arrogant and rude. In fact, he sounds so much like Trade Prince Gallywix, some have wondered if sections involving him were originally intended for Gallywix but changed last minute. Let's see. Tombness unfortunately concerns. The fellow currently towering above you is Rexar. Think of him as less handsome than me. Who am I? Read the signature. If you're still reading, then let me use small words for you. I own you, your steam window boss, your bilgewater cronies, and your shoes. And I go where I want on my property. Do not make Rexar say these approved words again for me. He's not really good with them, just axes and bears. Appreciate your time and expect the bill for mine. this is basically the problem with the article here, and not the article, with the book here, is that it's so fucking bad, people ran out of legitimate criticisms, and now they're just calling it racist. It's so fucking bad. It says the fucking Burning Legion came in from the Dark Portal. It's making Gazlo look like this stupid one-dimensional goblin, just like every single other one, except for he's a special character that's clearly more unique and more well thought of than other goblins. It's making Zappy Boy look like Simple Jack. It sucks. I don't give a fuck about the racism element is very much up for debate, but the fundamental is that it sucks. The book just sucks ass. Straight up terrible, right? It's just poorly written. Comparison of fictional race, stereotypical features, behaviors of race, inherently racist. Yes, isn't comparing the parallels between a fictional race, stereotypical features, or any behaviors of race inherently racist? No, it's not. No. This might be a mainstream at this point. No, I'm just doing this for a couple of hours, okay? 1 hour. Not inherently, no. Yes, you can just see the parallels. Yeah, you can see a parallel. It does not mean that you're racist for seeing a parallel. If I saw the... Okay, so let's use the logic here. If you see the obvious dicks that the Blizzard developers have put in the game, the big, fat, veiny, hard cocks that they put in this game, and they're all over the game, if you see one of those, does that make it to where you like to suck dick? No, it doesn't. If you saw that the tier set for the Warlock from back looked like the KKK outfit, does that mean that you're in the KKK? No, it fucking doesn't. Absolutely not. All I'm saying is that I think that, can we all agree, not all of us, can most of us agree that I think that if you're going to use a real-life race as a template for an in-game race, copy-pasting not only the aesthetics and the architecture of that real-life race, but also the stereotypes and negative attributes of it is a bit over the fucking line.